What's up, Diablo 4 players? So I'm finally ready to bring it to you guys, the build that we actually hit rank 1, and we were the world's first to do a 101 on the pit leaderboard. This is the exact same build that I'm running, even though we could actually optimize it to be a little bit better, but there it is, the pit 101 clear. And if you guys want to see the full video of me hitting rank 1, that's also available. I'll also pin it down below. But let's focus in on the build guide. There's actually two different variants of the build that you can play. If you are interested in doing pit pushing, I will have that version of it, and then I'll also include the speed version. There's a really cool item called the Ice Hard Brass that can basically delete lots of content super fast. What it has that's really powerful is specifically the enemies that die while frozen have an up to 40% chance to unleash a Frost Nova. That's how you're getting these big giant explosions. If you've ever played Path of Exile, it's basically like the explodey chest before it got nerfed. It is 100% the reason why I decided to go with this for clear speed. Now I'll also address a question: is ball lightning better or is ice shards better? At the time I actually hit rank 1, we were the top build for ice shards and everyone else was playing ball lightning. Honestly, both of the builds are very good. However, Ice Shards will dunk on Ball Lightning when it comes to clear speed unless you're playing the Spinny Ball Lightning, which that variant of the build is considered the off meta. The more meta one is the Super Ball Lightning. To be fair with you guys, most players will not really notice too much of a difference when it comes to like min-maxing. Both builds can do pit 100 plus, and if I did invest more time on it, we can hit rank 1 again. It's really not that big of a deal, but I kind of wanted to play some other builds here, but it is definitely able to be competitive. It is still like a meta build. It's not going to be like thousands of damage behind. It's just everyone's playing Ball Lightning because it's kind of a fan favorite, because Season 2 Ball Lightning was like peak Diablo for a lot of people, but this build is still definitely really high up there. In fact, it's the best cold Sorc build in the game because, well, Ice Shards just scales really well. So just as a heads up, to make the build feel super powerful, you only need one item for the build, which is the Hail of Verglass. It's the only one item that you need. Everything else, yeah, if you get Ring of the Starless Skies, it's cool, but it doesn't really matter as much as this. This is the main thing that if you get this, your build is up online. You're going to just do crazy DPS. So for starters, let's go over the skills, how we use them, and the different variants that you guys can play, whether you want to play a more speedy version or if you want to try to push for the highest rank of the pit. So for starters, as far as it goes, Ice Blades, it gives us extra attack speed, but we really don't need to activate it. We do want to have our entire bar to be Frost to get a bonus, but it's just here as another Frost skill, but it still kind of works. Then with Frost Nova, we can activate it to gain some damage or mana, but it also can apply vulnerability, but we have vulnerability in several different ways, but Frost Nova just activates and freezes enemies, because when the enemies are frozen, with our enchantment on the Ice Shards, it's going to automatically shoot out these Ice Shards. And then we have Frozen Orb here. Frozen Orb can apply vulnerability. It also applies more cold, and we do need some other enchantment that is a cold one, and it's just kind of there. You can put multiple points into it. In fact, you can go up to like pit 80, and it still does actually substantial amounts of damage to the point where it does matter. But later, once you start pushing into pit 100 plus, the Frozen Orb isn't really going to do that much damage, but it's better than nothing because you have extra points, as this build does not use barrier. Next up, obviously it's an Ice Shard build, so we play the Ice Shards, then we play Frostbolt just because we put the first points into it, and again, it's another ice skill, so it works with our build for the passive nodes. And then we have Deep Freeze. Deep Freeze will give us another source of free extra damage, but it also is our only way to remove any fear or any like sort of negative debuff on our character. It just can be activated for that. It also technically freezes stuff, but I just use it because I don't like to be hit by a fear, so it just really works well for that. And then the enchantments, 100% Ice Shards. The second one, play legitimately whatever you want. For the gear, we are running the Hail of Verglass. Again, this is the main item that you need for the build to become up online. You want to get as many core skills as possible, so Ice Shards ranks to core skills. You want as much of this as possible, and the reason why is Advanced Techniques allows your build to scale crazy good. This is how it is able to compete with Ball Lightning, is Advanced Techniques. You need to put a lot of points into your Ice Shards. This over here goes crazy. I believe it's plus 16 as max. Again, this is going to give you your big boost in your damage here, is any amounts of ranks to your Ice Shards. And then for, keep in mind though, the chests, the pants, boots, these can all be flip-flop. It doesn't have to be in this slot because the Chaos Uniques, right? So this is a new update to Season 10 because it's a frequently asked question when I was like talking about like what items I was looking for. So how it works in Season 10, if any of you guys are brand new to it, you can run armor slots that are in the incorrect armor slot, and the reason why is because these new things called the Chaos Uniques. So ideally, you want Fist of Fate somewhere in the build. And then you also want to run a regular pair of gloves, because regular pairs of gloves will give you more ranks to ice shards. Other than that, the rest you can flip-flop. But if you want to get offensive crit strike damage, cold damage, vulnerable damage, it doesn't really matter too much. Lochran's Talisman, this is a key item here. The reason why is it gives us up to 48% critical strike chance, and big like 100x damage is quite key here. But it's basically because it will facilitate all of our crit, as we do not run the Air of Perdition helmet. If you're wondering, can you run the Air of Perdition? Yeah, you can. It's lower DPS, but Hail of Verglass is definitely the one to lock in. But the reason why we play Lochran's is 100% just because of the crit that it gives us. But the damage is still pretty good, plus it gives you crit strike damage as well. And then for the boots, I went with Orange Herald. This is the exact same build that I used to tank the rank 1 push. However, I would actually recommend to play Crown of Lucian or the Banished Lord Talisman if you have it in the boot category. I just simply didn't have it. You can actually run both of those and get even more DPS, and at that point you're at the same level as the game is right now in terms of the pit push. I believe pit right now is like 100, almost 115-ish, but obviously if you get those two items, you can lock in and you can go way higher. And then we have the aspect of Piercing Cold, so Ice Shards is going to pierce and deal way more damage. We run this on a two-hander because the numerical stats are just so much better. And then what you want to try to do is get that chance for Ice Shard projectiles to cast twice as high as you can possibly go. Another thing that's important, this is a mana shield build, so we do not need any maximum life in any of our Paragon or our rolls on any of our pieces of gear. And then we play the aspect of Frozen Memories, which makes our things cost less. Now you can also play the Shatter if you want to, and then your mana cost will go way up, but then Banished Lord's Talisman and the Crown of Lucian can have better synergy, so that is another option. Again, if I had the items at the time, I would have actually pushed with that because it could be numerically higher. But just most importantly, just getting J on your int. You can also temper on armor or get armor somewhere on the build if you want to. You really don't need to max out armor or resistances in this build, and the reason why is because, well, you do so much damage reduction because of mana shield anyways, it really doesn't matter. Then I like the accelerating aspect to go even faster. We also play the Crazy Brew, so we can actually get 200% attack speed, because this rolls in category 2, and the other one will give you 80%. You only need 28% to basically have 200% attack speed on accelerating. And then Ring of the Starless Skies, and you want core skills on that. As far as the runes, I ran Cert Vex, and then also Ahu and Yom. So I would have preferred an Ohm if I had one at the time, but again, I'm giving you guys the same exact version that I hit rank 1 with. However, Ohm I think is objectively better. Again, you know, we just didn't have it. And then for the Chaos perks, I played Mana Shield. Obviously, everyone's playing it. Then Power Siphon and Advanced Technique is in every single build. Now, I also played Crazy Brew here. This is going to give us an additional 80% increased attack speed, and this is used when you are fighting some of the bosses. If you want to do Pit Hunter Plus, you need to make sure that you still have a couple potions. That way, when you fight the boss, you can pop the potion and get a huge damage bonus here. And I explained it in the video if you guys want to watch the rank 1 like push at the time. But what your rotation is for your big DPS, you pop your Deep Freeze. You need to immediately cancel your Deep Freeze because you don't do any DPS during it, realistically. You're just using it to get the multiplier. Then you activate Frost Nova for another multiplier, and then you just spam Ice Shards, then you also hit your potion. That's the rotation on the big DPS over here. And then as far as it goes in gems, it's just like, just try to max out as much as you can on armor, but again, you do not need to. Now for the other variant that I call the speed version of the build, basically you just throw in teleport here and then you just run Ice Heart Blast. That's like the main difference. There's also another version that I wanted to try that I never got all of the gear for, but this is basically the kind of the same concept, but it does run the Crown of Lucian as well as the Banished Lord's Talisman with the Fist of Fate, and then we run the Piercing Cold, and then we can also, if we want to, run a Shatter instead of the Avalanche passive, and that will allow us to actually have the things cost a lot more mana, therefore getting more of those overpowers with Banished Swords. But I'll update you guys once I get everything. The Chaos Uniques are untradeable, so it's really hard to gear up because you need everything perfect because, well, it just needs to line up. And this version actually does run with the Frozen Orb and Ice Shards. It does damage with both. It's really, really cool, but again, it requires so much gear that's, you know, this is kind of for like high-end premium min-maxers. If you want to go push, you could definitely try out this version. But as far as the skill tree goes, it's pretty much identical on most of them. The only difference is on the other hybrid one, I actually put more points into Frozen Orb. So for the build, we play Frostbolt because we need it to progress. Then we play Frozen Orb. We have the transfer vulnerability here. This one doesn't really matter. This one's okay too in the earlier stages. But then we run Ice Shards, and then we have like the shooting them out. Now this one does require us to have Barrier. We can get Barrier with our ulti, but it doesn't really matter too much. You can run this one over here where it receives its bonuses against the frozen enemies, but what you get with it is basically that it will ricochet off. Now you can actually put a point over here where you can get extra barrier here, or if you run the Shroud of False Death, it will also give you all the bonuses, but it doesn't really matter too much in terms of this one. The other option is to make them vulnerable. Again, it doesn't really matter, just there's a small time where this can be activated, or just put 1 point into either one of these and just to get that little like ricochet effect, which is really cool. And then we have Frost Nova, so you can take either one of these. If you want to be basically immortal, Shimmering Frost Nova is going to give you 100% of your mana. Remember, our mana is our HP, and then Mystical Frost Nova will give us extra damage. Take the one that you want, man. It's kind of up to you. Then I play Ice Blades. You can alternatively also play Familiar for a damage bonus. Choose whatever one that you want, or you can actually play both. It's totally fine. You can get Mana Shield. Even though we play Mana Shield, there's another Mana Shield over here. And then we have this Lucky Hit. Frost skills have a chance to instantly freeze. Therefore, again, this build, this is the speed version of it. Again, it's just swapping Teleport for the ultimate. And then you'll see like these explosions sometimes that just pop and then it just blows up the whole screen. It's basically because you freeze the enemy, it pops, they die, it freezes another enemy. You'll see like these giant pops. It's really, really satisfying. But then we just put all like the damage multipliers here for Frost. There is a change with Inner Flames. This works with all builds now. It's not just like fire skills or pyromancy. It's just all damage is increased while you are healthy, and well, we never really take any damage. Now, there is another option. If you play Marred Guard, you cannot play this because your character is not considered healthy. So keep that in mind if you do play that one as well. It's kind of like up to you on how you want to build your build. And then Avalanche or Shatter, they're both great options here. I personally prefer Avalanche, but the Shatter can be good, but it just makes it really rough against bosses unless you spawn in the Summoner one, because, well, you don't really benefit off of Shatter. Has been one of these things that always has bugs, and it's always really good because it double dips, but if this still like does double dip this season, then it's still objectively probably the best, but it does require you to RNG your way to victory in terms of like the rank 1 hit push clear. It always requires, of course, something to be able to be like small units basically on the boss fight. Now, as far as the Paragon board, we actually still have a bunch of extra additional points, and the reason why is the final points you just slam into Int because you do not need any HP anywhere in this build. So for starters, we get Destruction for crit strike damage, and then we get into Eliminator with Frigid Fate, and then we can go into Icefall with Exploit over here, so just massive amounts of damage. This actually got quite a nice buff over here. And then we can also play Fundamental Release with Tactician. So this is just every time we apply vulnerable or crit an enemy, we can get more and more damage, just free damage. And then over here we run the Enchantment Master with Unleash. So Enchantment Master is going to make our enchantments extra strong. And then we also get like a 60x damage basically for free. It ends up being a 39% chance to shoot out a Frozen Orb for free. This is why I wanted to really build the like a really cool version of like the hybrid. Because again, you just stack as many ranks to core skills, and it's really cool for that because basically that means it's basically 39% more damage because you have a chance just to shoot out a Frozen Orb, which will facilitate a big chunk of your damage, and you do not need to get the Frozen Orb aspect. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with Sorc this season. Again, just stacking core skills. Pretty much anything with the exception of Blizzard is going to be really good this season, and can be what I would say within margin of like 10 pit tiers will be like top tier for Sorc. So if you guys were ever wondering, you know, what should you actually build into, you can build into whatever because this season is really cool. But anyways, check out the rank 1 push if you guys want to. That is it for the build guide. If you guys have any suggestions to make it better, like I mentioned before, this is the one that I took rank 1 with. However, I still think that you can get more DPS if you did play Crown of Lucian as well as Banished Lord's Talisman. If you do fit those in, you would obviously drop Orange Herald, and then you can either drop the Amulet over here, or you can drop the Lockrins. However, you do want to make sure that you get enough crits, so that means GA crits, just so you can maintain that 100% critical strike chance. But yeah, the planner will be linked down below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and I'll update you guys if there needs to be an update. I do want to give you guys this version of the build where you get to do hybrid. It's really cool, but again, the gear requirements are quite strict on them. Anyways, have fun with this build, guys, and I'll catch you gamers in the next video. Peace out.